Good Monday makers, we're back with another community build roundup, and in this week's episode we're going to be checking out a kayak cover, an office desk, a patio canopy, a leatherworking work table and shelf, and a grilling cart. All kinds of really great builds from the community that we're going to check out and learn some different techniques and things from. Let's jump in and check out the builds. First up is this awesome kayak cover from Paul, and this is fantastic. And I wish I had seen this before recording last week's video on creating hinges with eye hooks, because this is a perfect example of using eye hooks to make a hingeable cover or build. So we can see here that he's got some kayaks underneath this frame that he built. It looks like he just used a long piece of EMT conduit with T connectors to basically send a pipe up, and then it's bent here, I believe, and then goes all the way up to this part on the build. And there's a piece of wood on the shed that he just screwed some of the eye hooks into, and the conduit runs through those. And you'll notice here that on the bottom of the frame, he's got a rope here that goes up to a pulley, and he can just simply grab onto that and use that to hinge up and pull up the cover above the kayak so he can easily get them in and out. Super cool, really smart, and a great use of the eye hooks. And if you don't know what video I'm talking about, basically we talked about how you could use eye bolts or eye hooks to create a hinge, and I'll link that video down below in case you haven't seen it. But this is a great example of doing that for your project, and this is a really awesome build and a really great cover. So thanks so much, Paul, for sharing this. We love seeing it. Next up is this really cool desk that Brock shared that he said their company built for their office, and I love this. It's really cool. You can see it's a really massive L-shaped desk, even has a kick-out side, or on this side, that they supported with a maker pipe and conduit frame. Just looks 90-degree connectors and T connectors with 3 conduit verticals, and they secured the desktop with maker pipe flanges, which is really cool. And then you can see the desk goes all the way around, and instead of having a frame that kind of sticks out underneath the desk like it does here, on the rest of the build, basically they just use adjustable angle flanges to just angle a piece of conduit from the baseboard all the way up to the desktop, and it looks like it's working well to support the frame, which is really cool. And then they just have adjustable angle flanges at the top as well to secure that to the desktop, and it looks fantastic. And we can see going all the way around, they did the same thing here. And then they even have a desktop that is supported by these filing cabinets and then kind of L's down, which is really cool and just looks awesome. So a really great desk. I always love seeing desks. I don't know if it's because I sit at one all day, but I just always love seeing custom desks. So this is really cool. Thanks so much, Brock, for sharing this. Love seeing it. Next up is a build that Julie shared, and she said that she put this together for their patio canopy. They had a hurricane in the area that they live in, and it took out two pergolas, a gazebo, a roof, a boat, a lemon tree, damaged their car, and they had just all kinds of issues from this hurricane. And so they've got a lot of things fixed and repaired and planted, but they're working on replacing the canopy. And so what they did is they built one with maker pipe and conduit. And basically, they wanted it to be able to withstand winds up to 40 miles an hour. And then if there was supposed to be getting weather that's worse than that or higher speed winds, then they were going to be able or wanted to be able to take it down easily. So they built this framework, and this always stays up, and it's kind of built underneath the eave of the roof. As you can see here, it's got conduit verticals going down. See a lot of bracing with adjustable angle connectors, adjustable 180s, I think there. They've got T connectors and just a lot of bracing on this frame, which is good. And like I said, this stays in place all the time. And then they can easily add this canopy section to the frame. And what they did is they used, I think there's a close-up here. Where is it? There's a close-up of a clamp that they found. And I'd love to get a link to this. It's like a parallel pipe clamp. And I think they even said what it's called. We'll look at that here in a second. But basically, they used that parallel pipe clamp that they found with quick clamps to be able to secure the canopy to the framework. And I think they said they called it a double port pipe clamp, which is really cool. And hopefully, if you're watching, you can share a link to that or something. I'm sure a lot of people would find that really useful. But that's great. So you can see here they've got this canopy that they built, and they secure that to the frame that stays in place all the time. And it looks like they just used conduit to create a rectangle. Then they used, it looks like cabling to reinforce it, which is really smart. And then they secured the canopy, it looks like with maybe shower curtain hooks or something similar, which is a really great technique. You can see here it kind of folds up nicely into different panels. They've got verticals that slide in and out, and I imagine are under the end here, and there you can see putting it in place. Yeah, and then here you go, the verticals I was talking about that they can slide in and out of the 90-degree connectors in the corner to get this set up in place, and it looks fantastic. And a really awesome build, and I think they said they're happy with it and kind of checks off all the boxes where it can withstand some wind, but then if it's going to be worse, bad weather coming through, they can take it down easily. So really cool. Thanks so much, Julie, for sharing this. We love seeing it. Next up is a workbench and shelf shared by Isaac, and it looks like he does leather working. I think you can see he's got some leather boots and different things here, some just leather sheets and raw materials, and this is really cool. And basically just built a workbench and a shelf that he can use for this leather working. And we can see here that the workbench is pretty large work area, which I imagine is really helpful when you're doing stuff. And it looks like it's pretty high up as well if you compare it to the height of the tables in the back. So you're probably standing up here and you've got plenty of space that you can, reach back and, maneuver things on this desktop. Got some lights clamped onto it. Really awesome. And it looks like maybe just 90-degree connectors to create a rectangle with T connectors for the rung going around the side and the back. 4-way connector in the middle to add the brace up to the front. It's got the whole build on wheels so we can roll it around his shop. Really cool. And then here in the back you can see a tiered shelf that he can put raw materials. And I think he's actually using pipes. Looks like going back and forth to support the rolls of materials. So if it's not just flat sheets like it is here sitting on the pipes just on top, I think he's got some rolls of stuff actually going. The conduit is going through those rolls, which is really cool. Makes it easy to grab stuff. And here I just noticed you can see the back of the desk has these really tall verticals going up with some different things hanging off and draped off the top as well. So really cool, and just a really great use of maker pipe and conduit to create something custom to Isaac's needs for whatever he needs whenever he's working on different stuff. So really cool. Thanks so much for sharing this. Really great to see. Last but not least is a grilling cart or barbecue cart from Robert. And this is fantastic. And we talked about this in Maker Pipe Monday a few weeks back. But at that point, we only had one picture and we couldn't really see all that was going on. But Robert shared more photos, and I'm glad he did because this is really cool. You can see here that it looks fantastic, all finished. And we'll come back and see the finished frame. But here, he also shared pictures of it in progress, which is really cool. He used 1-inch EMT conduit and Maker Pipe connectors to basically build this rectangular frame that has a nice bent corner here, which looks really nice. I see some 90-degree connectors, 4-way connectors, and I think T connectors. Yeah, so 90-degree connectors for the corners, 4 ways for the bracing here, and then T connectors for this cross brace as well. Then he added wheels to the build using, I think, the axle method that we've talked a lot about on the channel, where you use a threaded rod all the way through with wheels that already have bearings in them. I'll link some videos down below so you can see how to make axles, but it's got 4 wheels on it. Here you can see he mounted the grill to the cart, and I think he just used some angle iron or some flat metal stock and basically just created an angled plate that attaches and bolts directly to the frame and the side of the grill. Super smart. He used 1-hole straps to add wood, and it sits flush with the conduit, which is really cool. He did the hack where he flipped over the 1-hole strap to make that where it sits flush in there. Really smart. You can see added some controls for the grill and everything in there. Really awesome. And then we can go back and we can see the finished frame, which has some really awesome looking wood. I think he painted the whole frame black. Connectors are coated as well. He's got rubber pipe feet on there so he can move this up against the wall and not worry about it bumping anything. He even painted the wheels. They have red rims in there, and it just looks fantastic. And this wood looks so cool. I've never seen this before. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think I've seen a tutorial on how to do this from Build Dad Build. If you're familiar, definitely check out his YouTube channel. He's got several videos where he dyes wood and also does wood burning technique to make all kinds of colors, not just red, I think like blue and green. Really cool stuff. I'll link his channel down below and some of the videos he's done, but I'm pretty sure that's what Robert did here to get this really awesome looking red wood that just looks fantastic. So such a cool build. Thanks so much, Robert, for sharing this, and thanks to everybody for posting your builds. As always, we love seeing them, and if you want to check any of these out in more detail, they'll be linked down below. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you in the next video.